Hey, what's going on? You know who it is. It's Bruce Jordan, the Michael Jordan Hotels. And today we got the famous, infamous Wilka Nascimento here. And we're going to be talking about sales and sales careers. What do you need to do to get a job in sales? Some of the things that work for her and some of the things that work for you in this episode of Hotel Careers. This episode is brought to you by besthotelbooks.com, the #1 online hotel bookstore in the world. To check out the latest and greatest hotel books, go to besthotelbooks.com. Hey, what's going on? It's finally ready. It's finally available. We have the Hotel Revenue Bible ready for pre-sale. Pre-sale ends March 1st. We have some of the greatest authors that has ever existed inside of the hotel industry in this book, including myself. This is our starting lineup for this book, and these are just the contributing authors, okay? Just based off of that alone, that makes this book dynamite. So go ahead and let's explode your revenue numbers with the Hotel Revenue Bible. Check it out now. Go to hotelrevenuebible.com for more information. How are we doing today?
Excellent. Thank you so much, Bruce, for having me on the show one more time.
My pleasure, my pleasure. I always ask everybody, how did you get into this business?
Well, for me, back in Brazil, when I was in school, I was studying hospitality and I decided to get better on my English skills. So I said, I need to do an internship abroad. So then the internship was 12 months and it was in every single department of the hotel. So front office, sales, operations, everything, and and more, right? But that's how I started the sales focus here in the US, even though I was already doing back in Brazil.
Nice, nice.
So yeah, that's a little background. But then after the internship, I got hired to do sales in a suburban hotel in Baltimore, and I had zero experience in sales.
Wow.
Yeah. So huge shout out to Mark Wright. Hope you're watching, because he helped me all along the way, and we are still friends to this day.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Wow. Wow. So I'm what are some of the things that you feel like every salesperson should know?
I really think grit and passion, right? Because in the end of the day, you need to get the ball rolling, hit the pavement, like we say in the industry, because it's about being outside, being seen by your local community, making connections, and really, of course, use the tools that you have. If it's a branded hotel, reach out to your national sales contacts, see what are the demand generators for your area. But then also, the networking opportunities within the chambers, within the CVBs, local CVBs, and really also for me, what has worked really well, invite people to have breakfast with you. Invite people to grab coffee with you at your hotel, because you're already interacting, you're already connecting, but you're already showcasing your property at the same time.
Nice, nice. What are some of the day-to-day duties that you had to do when you did sales?
Report.
I feel like they have. You spend so much time doing reports, you don't have any time to sell. I've seen some of these reports they had. I'm like, man, what the hell are you doing printing all these reports out? And it's I understand you need to understand where you're at, but if you're drowning yourself in reports, how are you going to sell like that?
Yeah, actually too, one thing that I really enjoyed, the style, right? The leadership style. Huge shout outs to my past GM, Wes Moore. And I wanted to actually, it's you have to be engaged with your team, because I cannot be a successful salesperson if I'm not actually understanding the challenges of the operations team and actually sharing my challenges, right, on what contracts I'm working on, to bring that business to the hotel so we can all benefit from it. But also having that, connection with the team members on a daily basis on stand-ups definitely has helped me to be successful on property.
Nice, nice. One of the big things when it comes to sales is making your numbers. Now, I know that you're not gonna hit every single month. Like you're not gonna hit out the ballpark every single month. But like, what's a good ratio or guideline when it comes to hitting numbers? Is it okay if they don't hit their numbers for 6 months straight, 3 months straight? Like, what have you seen with your experience?
Well, in sales, you have to hit the numbers. So 6 months not hitting, it's not good for you. I think it's all about the segmentation, right,
Okay.
Bruce? You have to make sure, like in Washington, D.C., I love to my heart this market because I was really connected with the embassies. That was my main market when I was in a boutique hotel. Why? Because I knew that I could connect with those folks and I was flexible offering whatever they needed. But then also, coming back to your question is knowing your segments, knowing what is happening in the city-wides, right? How is the hotel benefiting from a particular citywide, and if that overflow is gonna actually get to you, right? Because sometimes when the hotel is not so close to the convention center, if it's not 5,000 peak, you can't get any business from that. But then also, how do you market the hotel in different areas? So it's our tour operators, right? It's leisure, you're focusing leisure. It's the student groups, it's the sports groups. So it's really, knowing your market, because having that segmentation, I definitely think it's the key. Hitting your numbers, sometimes you are group based. Definitely, it's super important to have. But the transient side of the business as well. I did some complementation with the OTA business as well when I was on property. Some different strategies to get that business last minute, right?
Okay.
But then I also think it's really knowing the market, what is happening, and having your contacts with your colleagues in the industry as well. Because hey, I know, XYZ property is sold out. I reach out to that salesperson. Hey, I have rooms. Send me some. Anything you guys need, and work together as a cluster for that particular city. Because in the end of the day, we are not competing against each other. We are trying to attract and help the customers, the clients.
Nice, nice. Okay, but if I'm in your neighborhood, I'm competing. I'm coming to get all your business. Like, no, I'm just kidding.
That's actually my motto. I was like, what? I need to be sold out first, and then we can talk and be friends.
Like, after I finish eating, you can have my side items.
Yeah. I think the competition is definitely very real as well. I remember when I was in Baltimore, I had, on my first sales experience, right? I had the same brand, the same hotel, on less than 3 miles from my hotel. However, to differentiate myself, I always used to say, oh my gosh, I have all of these amenities. I have a shuttle, I have free breakfast, I have, I would list to the people, but then I would say, it's not just that, but I am here for you. So it's really ensuring the clients that you got their back, right? And anything they need, you're going to take care of it. So I think that connection with your clients is definitely super important as well.
I agree. Now, there's, everything in sales isn't always perfect. It isn't always great. I remember I had a transient sales director, and she would just go door to door and give out cookies. And I'm like, this lady making all this money to give out some cookies and a bonus? Oh, hell no! I gotta get my butt over to sales, because I'm the greatest cookie delivery man you ever seen. really didn't realize how intense transient was. But you know, like I said, everything isn't always, you know, peachy and great when it comes to sales. Like what do you do in a situation where they give you an impossible forecast or an impossible budget to hit, like an impossible number? What are some of the things that you feel like will help?
Well, I think first of all, you need to be part of that forecast, right? And I was pretty, when I worked in this downtown hotel in DC by the White House, and I saw the budget, and I was like, oh my God, this is the budget? How are we going to hit that? But you know, really with the support of my general manager, Wes Santos, his confidence in the market, he assured me, Wilka, this is the forecast, we are gonna make it, right? And this is how you're gonna make it. So now you're gonna share that with your team. You're gonna be, you know, hitting the pavement, inviting people over, but also, you know, it's not always speechy, and sometimes, like you said, you know, we do lose some market share to our colleagues. But then, you know, winning that client back, right, and looking for new opportunities. I think, you know, if that hotel always had XYZ groups, how about you looking at different segmentation, you know? I know for a fact when I, you know, came to that property in particular, I got some of my embassy friends, right, staying over. And it doesn't matter, right? Sometimes when people say, oh, this is a little far, and, you know, from the main location where the meeting is happening, and then you educate people that what they think is far, it's actually a value add for their group.
Nice.
And all of the amenities that you can offer. You know, you throw a little welcome reception, right? Wine and cheese. But really, like, being creative, I think for me, has helped me being successful when hitting the targets. You know, forecasting is really difficult when you're not participating on the budget in the beginning of the year. Like if you're just taking over, you know, a new team, or you are a new person in that property. But I really think, you know, budgets and numbers, the data are there to back you up, right? So there is nothing to be scared of in the end of the day, because you can always, right? If a client had stayed in your hotel because they had their reasons, maybe, you know, you can reach out and be like, hey, you know, can we book again? Or where did you book? Why you're not here? So you need to know the why behind why the group is not there. And find out when they're coming back. You know, maybe, you know, some groups, business travelers and corporate meetings, they're coming back in every 2 years, or maybe every 5 years. So it's really understanding, right, who has stayed in that hotel in the past, and looking for new business, really, you know, to try to complement and increment, right? Because I think that's the very main word here. It's incrementality, because you're not going to get the same business every year, my friend.
Yeah, I think you hit a very good point there. Is, you know, that needs to be a skill, looking for new business, because no business lasts forever. You know, the average business can't make it past 1 year. So, you know, it's really, really tough. So what are some of the things that you recommend to look for new business?
Honestly, every networking from MPI, HSMI, you know, Destination DC. Matter of fact, you know, every networking opportunity that you have with those organizations, they will help you. Like I remember huge shout outs, right, to the international departments from those organizations, because also now one of the focus is the international business. So what is that city doing to market not your hotel but your city, to bring those international clients, which we all know length of stay is amazing.
That's right.
Right,
That's
for
right.
international travelers. So it's like, have those relationships really close to you. I remember in New York City when I worked in Queens, I was like, my God, I'm gonna have, you know, a group from Spain staying here, because you know, people want to stay in Times Square, right? And I worked so close with a New York City tourism, and huge shout out to Reginald. He is the leader for that international campaign with all of the international DMOs and offices outside of New York that is promoting New York City to the world, right? So get really close to those people, because that's how also the folks in Spain, in Brazil, in Japan is knowing about your location, right? But also take advantage of those fam tours, because fan tours, they're so rich. Oh my gosh. And you know, if the hotel has a budget, I always say be at those meetings as well. Like I remember back in the New York City days, I went to Brazil for ABAV. It's the largest expo for the South Americans, and everybody, I tell you what, every person that I met in that conference knew this general manager from Times Square Hotel.
Really?
And they were asking, oh, do you know so and so? I was like, yes, I know him. Ron, huge shout out. And he went every year because he was able to speak the language and connect with people.
Nice.
So imagine, right? Like you're in a limited service hotel, but you know where your business is coming from. Brazilians, where do they want to stay? Times Square. That's it, right? He knew his market, and he would make that investment on that trip in that particular expo to gain the confidence, to gain the trust, right? Continuously, but also to maintain the relationships.
That's right.
Because you know, don't think that, oh, I attended this event one time and now this business is gonna, you know, get my hotel sold out every year moving forward. No, you have to consistently attend those events because you need to be seen, right?
Yeah. For sure, for sure. So working the front desk, working in a different department, I feel like a lot of people feel like their next move is sales. So but they have some, I guess they're a little self-conscious. Like they feel like their delivery isn't well. They're even though they speak to people all the time, they feel like they don't want to present the offer. They're scared to hear no. You know, what are some of the things that you did to overcome that fear of no when you first started out in sales?
Oh my gosh, Bruce, this is a great question. And I think, you know, the beginning of...
No! All right, just checking, making sure, okay.
I'm not scared. That's the beginning. You cannot be scared to hear no. Because, you know, doors will close, man. Yeah. You know, it's not every day that it's peachy and all doors are open, you know, and people will tell you no in different ways, right? They keep postponing a meeting. They don't ever have time to come for that site tour, or after they came to that lunch, they just keep ignoring you and ghosting you, right?
Yeah.
Because all they wanted is a free meal.
Yeah.
So it's really, you know, at first, like really nerve-wracking, right? Because you're going to a meeting, you have all this presentation, you're bringing your cookies, and then that big contract signed, you never hear back. So I think, you know, you have to be a closer, right? First and foremost, there's an awesome video, you know, for closers, coffees for closers, right? But it really, you know, you have to ask for the business in that one meeting, right? When you already know, you already presented, you already went through all the site tours and the conversations, and you already, you know, presented the rates and the contract. So you're coming to that meeting to show the contract, you got to get that contract signed right there, right? So asking for the business, in my opinion, definitely is a skill, because you can be, right, a little scared of receiving the no. And then, you know, if you need an addendum, right, you add different, you know, little clarifications what the client wants, or they want to, you know, more time at the happy hour, the welcome happy hour.
Yeah.
But, you know, if people are just going to be open bar happy hour for 3 hours, then they might not leave, right?
That's a great time to do contracts on the 3rd hour. Open bar.
You really have to ask, Bruce, because I remember also in California, you have to adapt with the markets where you are and the culture of the folks. Like I was in California, like my second month in California, and I was like, oh my gosh, so hungry, right, to close business and to show, right, the ownership that was worth, right, they moving me from New York City to California. So I had the NBA showcase. It was the first time they were going to that little town in Santa Cruz, which is, you know, an hour and a half from San Francisco. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is an amazing business. How do I get that, right? And I was in a limited service hotel. So I did everything I could, you're right. I was there from 8 a.m. Showcasing the hotel, prepping my staff for that walkthrough with like 10 people, right?
Wow.
And yeah, that was like
Now that's being prepared.
but you know, like that is it was nerve-wracking for me because they were not just walking my hotel. We had this schedule because they were in California walking multiple hotels, multiple properties, not just in Santa Cruz but in San Jose as well. And it was a big deal, right, for that town. And, you know, next thing you know, the city, the gentleman that was working with me on that particular NBA showcase, the D League, he said, okay, well, if you want to get this business, we need to get the sponsorship. And I'm like, okay, what does this sponsorship entails? Show me what you got. So it's always like also asking, right? Like it's a trade-off. Let's do it, you know, but if it makes sense for me in the end of the day, we're going to go for it, right?
Absolutely.
So we got the sponsorship checked. We got the contract. We were sold out for the entire week.
Nice.
The owners, they didn't forecast that, just saying, right?
Yeah.
And they look at me, they like, Wilka, how did you get this contract? I was like, well, you know, those were the steps, and now we need to deliver. 5 days, the hotel sold out with all of these basketball players turning pro, right? Eating all the breakfast.
Nice.
So it became like really a team effort to deliver that nice experience once they came, you know, to the hotel. But then also billing, right? I didn't have an accountant. I was the accountant.
Oh, that
right?
was terrible.
But it happens, Bruce.
Yeah.
In the end of the day, when you, you know, we're not expecting that type of business in January, right? They never had a showcase in that particular town. It was amazing, you know, and to see that you can handle that with your team. And at breakfast, I was at breakfast, you know, bringing cinnamon rolls, cleaning up plates from the tables, interacting with the teams, you know, taking pictures, right, posting on social media, and doing all of that with a smile, because in the end of the day, people will feel your vibe, right? If you're doing those efforts, those steps, is like, oh, you know, a problem for you to clean up the tables, or, you know, the breakfast tables. And they were looking at me like, Wilka, you live here, you sleep here. I was like, almost, you know, it's a hotel business, but we are here, you know, to assist and make sure we provide the best service we can possibly can.
Nice. And the most important thing, I feel that, especially when they get a job in sales or any job at that point, to think of is branding. You got to brand yourself, because you have to let people know that other people want you. All right, that you'll be happy to work here. It'll be great to work here, but other people want you. So, what are some of the things that you do for personal branding?
Personal branding, my favorite topic. You know, Bruce, I must say that really, as you know, we've talked many times, LinkedIn for me has been definitely my go-to for my career. You know, like yesterday, I was in Orlando. I called someone, Paul Varma. Thank you so much, by the way. He took time out of his day. We met for coffee, not just for coffee. He walked me into Animal Kingdom. We had an amazing experience. Long story short, we've been connected on LinkedIn since 2012.
Wow.
Not because I know the date, not because I marked, but I went on LinkedIn. I was like, when did I connect with him? Because I knew that it was a long time, because I was looking up to him on how can I learn from this person, because he
Yeah.
knew so much about the brand that we both worked for, even though I was in California and he was in Orlando, Florida.
Wow.
So I think being hungry to connect with people and maintain the relationship is definitely my secret here, for this personal branding, that, you know, it's yourself, right?
That's right.
Like, you were in DC, I came and I met you, right? We've met through LinkedIn.
That's
How
right.
we were going to be connected all this time, right? We did, we shoot something in Philly, right? Now I'm here in Orlando. I'm like, no, I need to stay an extra time because I want to make sure I come and see you. So it's like maintaining those relationships.
Yeah, she's just in time to babysit my son.
The cutest thing in the world. The cutest thing in the world, okay? And I told you I'll do it anytime. You know, I love it, love it. I'm pre-gaming. But also, you know, besides that, really, when I mentioned, you know, even in California with those teams, I was in, it was a new market for me, right? So then I thought to myself, how am I going to connect with everyone, and join really the community, especially in Santa Cruz. The, you know, the community, they're really big. Oh, who is this new girl coming from where? Oh, New York. But then you have an accent. Oh no, I'm from Brazil. So it's like, you know, how you connect with the community where you are, and how you also volunteer, right, to be in a particular committee for a certain event in that town. So there's tons of things that you can do, and I know we all have lives, right? You cannot volunteer to work in a second job, right?
Yeah.
Because definitely becomes work as well. But I think, you know, personal branding is maintaining the relationships, is connecting with new folks, and really telling them how you can help them, right? I believe that, you know, being creative is one of the keys. That's why I admire you so much, because also you don't just have one show, right?
Yeah.
You have multiple shows. You know, you have your YouTube followers. You are on LinkedIn. You're on TikTok. You are on Instagram. You're everywhere. But that's the new thing now, right? That's the easiest way for you to be in front of people. And one thing that I like to say is I love Instagram, right? Even Chocolates, my dog, has an Instagram page, because that's how people want to see a little side of your personal business and your personal life. So for me, being on LinkedIn as well, you know, there's somebody, I forgot his name. He, every time I post something now, he's like, hey, where's this Chocolate? And I was like, Chocolate is napping right now. He's not on this video, you know, but he's like, so like, that's a way for him to interact and get to my heart,
Yeah,
right? Because that's one of the things that I love so much, my dog. So it's like how showing yourself what you like to do, what do you love, you know, travel, of being really, you know, sharing my travels on LinkedIn as well. And, you know, I do it also mindful, right? I'm not like, hey, I'm making marketing propaganda of, you know, a hotel that I stayed.
Yeah.
But, you know, I'm really conscious about it, and really, you know, really passionate about the podcast, right? The Leadership Talks, because really it's a conversation, right? I can talk to you about travel. I can talk to you about sales and hospitality. I can talk to you about personal branding, which we all in the hospitality industry, we are all connected.
That's
and I
right.
think, you know, regardless if I'm in DC today, you know, I'm still connected with folks in California, right? Shout out to Jaylin from IHG. I just, you know, saw that he going for the AIDS walk again. One of the events that I participated with the team when I was there in 2015. We are in 2023.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like we maintain those relationships. And I try to meet people in person as much as I can, because nothing beats that.
Now, tell me about the relationship between the DOS and the GM. Like, I know that sales and GM relationship has to be pretty tight, but what happens when you're in a situation where the GM is more of an operational type person and they just don't know sales that well?
I think that's an amazing question, because throughout the years, like you said, in any job, right? In the end of the day, you need to deliver numbers. But if the GM is not on the same flow as the DOS, it is really difficult, right? I've encountered situations where, I was micromanaged and asked every single steps that I did when I was outside of my sales calls, and then I take it as hey, this is where I'm at with Bruce. Picture.
Selfie.
I use that as strategy because I can't be bothered with questions, right? And what I'm doing, where I'm at, or XYZ. So really, the flow needs to be there. I know that I've had many amazing general managers as well that were not so much into, hey, come and attend a networking event with you, but then you showing them how important that networking event is. I remember, my GM in DC, Wes Santos, again, right? Like, he was like hands down the best GM that I ever had, right? Like, he was on it, right? And every single side tour that I had, he was at the front desk welcoming my guests, even just to say hello, right? Because he didn't have much time to be, hey, having breakfast with me and my guests, but he said hello. And networking events, lots of embassy events that I attended that time, and he was probably 70% he attended with me. So that's a pretty good ratio for an operations person, I would say. But definitely it's not just being out there and representing the hotel with you, but then also when you are on your revenue calls, right? You guys need to be on the same flow. What you're gonna say, he's gonna back you up, and vice versa. Because in the end of the day, you can tell the revenue managers, most of the time they're not sitting at the hotel. They don't know the challenges you are encountering, or if a housekeeping staff called sick and you gotta go help strip rooms.
Yeah.
So really, having that flow and with the GM during the work hours, after hours, and anything he needs and you need, the communication is definitely a huge piece for me.
I was actually in that situation. People don't understand that sales isn't an investment. You don't hire someone for sales and get a signed contract 5 minutes later. Just it doesn't. 5 minutes later. It doesn't work like that. And one of the properties that we managed, one of the investors was like, I said we're gonna need somebody for sales. This place never had someone for sales, and I think that's they were doing at that time. They was doing like nothing. They were doing like maybe $600,000 or something like that. It was this little small property, and I said, hey, you're not gonna see this investment for a couple of months. So just be ready for that. So they see the money leaving, but they're not seeing an immediate return. And I'll probably say about 4 months later, that's when the numbers start really kicking up. And by the time we finished, the property and revenues had increased by like 60%. So they went from 600,000 to like 1.1, 1.2 million. Just the change in sales and revenue management alone.
Yeah, I definitely, I think for like the sales investment, and I've been actually in properties that never had salespeople before, or never really had, a presence in the market at all, or even sometimes, like I opened a hotel, right, in New York with Andre, and that was my first time doing an opening. So, it was so fun because I could see, they stress, right, going with, like Andre, going at the property management, because it's like, how come the pool doesn't have the license for XYZ date? What is this pushback, right? So like having people also coming for the hard hat tours in that position, and while everybody, the workers are there, right? They're building, they're finishing the hotel. it was definitely an eye-opening situation for me, and it was my first time. And the flow between the ownership, the GM, and me. The owner sat down with me one day and he said, "Wilka, what are you working on right now?" And then I showed him, well, I have this meeting this week, University of so and so. And he's like, "Wilka, this is great, but how are you meeting with these people?" And I said, they're coming here for a site tour, and I can't wait for our breakfast to be open because I invite people for breakfast. He's like, "Wilka, forget about it. Invite people for lunch. They're coming for site tours, invite everybody for lunch. People like to eat." That was my owner's words that time. And I was like, "Sure, no problem. I'm following instructions," right? And the flow, man, people gave you more time. They tell you so much over lunch, right? That it's like that informal conversation, but then you learn who they worked with in the past, what are they looking for in the future, right? Which hotels they're currently using while your hotel is not even open.
Yeah.
So it's like there's so much you can do, for maintain those relationships that came for the tour, and then you close when the hotel has the opening party, right? And back there in New York, in Westchester, it was so fun because I had two huge universities joining us, because also we had sponsorship presence on the football games and so on, and then I had cheerleaders on my opening. It was like a fun party. It wasn't just like, hey, cut the ribbon, the mayor's here, and have a nice day, everybody. So really welcoming everybody that came to that hard hat tour was amazing. I have the honor to say that opening was a wonderful learning experience, not just because we were on the local channel news, due to the ownership relationship with the market, right?
Nice.
Big real estate company, but it's like also the brand, the folks from the brand. I was hustling to get someone from the brand to come. 3 people came.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. So that tells you also, the being persistent and really focusing on how people can be of assistance to you when you really need it.
Yeah, she said 3 people came. You're going to work for these franchise fees. Get over here.
Definitely.
That must have been a really easy sell, because like the first thing I will say when I'm opening up a new hotel and it's brand new, first thing I'm going to sell is we have no bad reviews.
Yeah, it was a nice location, near the mall, near to the train. But as openings can be delayed a couple times, and then you have to push back some groups when you were supposed to be open and you already had business on the books, and then you're gonna go back to the client and say, "Hey, unfortunately,
because
we cannot open the hotel."
The county, the city, the state denied this inspection, and this didn't go through, so we got pushed back another 6 months. Yeah, it's a nightmare.
Yeah, it's definitely a challenge, but nonetheless, like I didn't have a physical hotel ready to go and show people, but I was there, on the market. I was in the community with all the possible chambers I could be.
Yeah.
And really attending to looking and studying the market, what I could actually shift from, Manhattan and other boroughs that I knew that I had relationship because I had worked with them. But it's not always, the grass is not greener on the other side, right?
That's
we
right.
know that it's a lot of work put into from, the property manager, the operations team, my GM, it was there 24 hours, until this hotel was open. So, making sure you have that flow, that vibe, and understanding really of what his tasks is and the challenges he's having, and sharing your challenges as well, because it's not everybody that will feel comfortable, number one, also coming for a hard hat tour, so it's definitely, the understanding and communication between the 2 departments and the 2 people are huge, for that relationship to work.
Nice. Well, that wraps it up for our show today. Tell everybody how they can get in contact with you.
Well, I am on Spotify with the Leadership Talks podcast, Apple Podcasts, and every other platform you can, listen to a podcast. But I'm mostly also on LinkedIn, Wilka Nascimento, and I'm really thrilled to do this with you one more time. So thank you so much, Bruce, for having me.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And thank you for joining us for another show. And make sure you check out our sponsors, especially if you want to get the best jobs or find the best candidates. They are where you need to be. And this is Bruce Jordan of Michael Jordan Hotels signing out. Hey, what's going on? You know who it is. It is Bruce Jordan of Michael Jordan Hotels. And today we have, finally it's ready, on pre-sale, the Hotel Revenue Bible. We have some of the heaviest hitters that you've ever seen inside this book, including myself, of course. We have Craig in the house. Craig is over here doing big things. He's a contributor author for this book. Deborah is inside the book. Yes, the great Deborah Gardner. She's inside the book, knocking it out, doing her thing. We got Haley, yes, the superstar, the social media superstar and sales expert. Haley is inside this book, okay? We have the amazing and great Doug Kennedy. Doug Kennedy has probably built the hotel industry single-handedly, okay? When it comes to training, he's probably built the hotel industry single-handedly when it comes to training, all right? And last but not least, we have Calvin Toloki, ready to get started, and he's inside this book as well. We have the best of the best, the all-star team inside of the Hotel Revenue Bible. We have limited copies for pre-sale, so you must make your way down and grab this book today, because once the pre-sale inventory is out, it's done. We have a special discount just for pre-sale. Use the promo code GET30 and you'll get 30% off your total sale. Now this book is only $39.99, so 30% off is a big deal. For a limited time, for the first 10 purchases, we're gonna upgrade your book to a signed copy, which is a $60 value. So instead of, and you still get the 30% off. How about that? You get 30% off on a book that sells for $59.99 signed, and you're gonna get it at regular price with a huge discount. You cannot beat this. This book will teach you everything that you need to know about revenue, and you don't have to worry about no more revenue calls or owner calls saying what happened, how come our numbers aren't where they're supposed to be, because this book has everything inside of it. Go ahead and check out this book now. Make that investment now. I guarantee that you will not be disappointed. If you are disappointed with this book, I will come work for you, okay? If this book doesn't get the results that you're looking for, I will come work for you, all right? Let's get it. Let's make it happen. Go ahead and make this happen right now.